Here today.
I understood what beat the band meant.
I don't either. Even when I said it, I was like, is that the right thing to say?
It is the right thing to say, but I have no idea what that means.
What? Someone tweet
Anybody?
us, hashtag WTV, if you know exactly what beat the band has
I
to,
remember
why that's a
looking
thing.
it up, and there was a lot of stories, but
Google
nothing
will
concrete.
know. I'm feeling Google will know.
I'm sure
Or
one of our
Urban
viewers will
Dictionary.
Make love, not war. Don't beat the band. Hug the band. It's snowing to hug the band in parts of New York. Closer look here off of Lake Ontario. We've got some lake effect kicking in here. We've got some low visibilities right along 81, so north of Syracuse. You get up towards the Liverpool area, head into Oswego County. That's where you've got some heavier bursts, another heavy burst north of Utica, and then headed over towards Caroga. You're going to see that snowfall pick up in intensity. The good news is this is not really along I-90, save for areas just west of Syracuse. So around Auburn, you've got the snow coming down there. Parts of Michigan, lower Michigan, where the snow is falling. So 75 areas there. You could see a few snow showers. We don't have a ton of low visibility areas, but there are some at least light to moderate snow showers. Now you head down into the southern and western part of lower Michigan. That's where we do have some heavier bursts of snow. You've seen it move through Kalamazoo, so you saw the visibilities drop and then pick back up. Hastings, things will be improving within the next 5 to 10 minutes for you as that moderate snow continues to shift off towards the east. I'm waiting with bated breath
Yes, yeah.
for the words of wisdom from Tom Nissel.
If Alex Wilson is speechless, you've done something.
Well, that gave me the vapors for a second time tonight.
Stop eating the Mexican time.
So, hey, we've got to take a look at...
Talk about yet another ice event possible for the Portland area.
I haven't seen this in a number of years where we've got into these situations. Portland, Oregon, for those of you who aren't aware of it, right close to the Pacific coast here, that warm Pacific Ocean typically brings enough warm air into the area that you typically see all rain events. The Cascade Mountains block the cold air from coming in. But once again, high pressure to the east of the Cascades is going to push air down through the Columbia River Gorge. And that cold air down at the surface here is going to be overridden by warmer air coming off the Pacific Ocean. And we set up in purple here. This is a freezing rain situation. This is going into Friday morning at 2 a.m. Now, as we go more into the rush hour in the early part of the day, things will open up a bit in here as this first area precipitation moves through. But later in the day, with temperatures staying around the freezing mark, there's a likelihood that we'll get more frozen or freezing precipitation in here. And again, look at the trajectory coming down the Columbia River Gorge here and spilling out across Portland and down into parts of the Willamette Valley. So it is going to be a setup for an icing condition again. Easterly winds tend to always produce these types of setups because it comes down the Columbia River Gorge. And if you look at the annual percentage of up once again for Portland.
90% of those days. We want to get the latest perspective out of the National Weather Service in Portland. Jeremiah Pyle here with us from NWS Portland. And as Tom just showed you, the overwhelming percentage of your icing events come from those easterly wind days. But it seems like we've had an overwhelming number of these kind of events for you guys this winter. I mean, it seems to be one after.
Used to that from working in the National Weather Service in Buffalo, New York with the winters, so I understand where you're going with this. You not only have that potential for the freezing precipitation, but once again, you've got some pretty strong winds coming down the gorge, don't you?
Jeremiah Pyle, thank you so much from National Weather Service Portland. We appreciate the insight. I'm sure we're going to be following up with you guys throughout the week about the challenge of this forecast, because this is some of the most difficult weather to forecast. Sleet versus freezing rain versus snow versus rain.
And precipitation type has everything to do with the temperature profile in the atmosphere above us. So why don't we come out in the lab here? We're going to go to one of our newest tools here. This is our Sky Profiler, and it's going to show the temperature profile in the atmosphere as we go to Portland here over the next 24 to 36 hours. So we've got it here, Alex, in front of us, and if you take a look here, we're going up in the atmosphere here, and the temperatures are listed here all below the freezing mark, except just above freezing at the surface. This is kind of going to be the setup for Portland before all that moisture and that cold air move in. So in this situation here, you end up with an all-snow environment. You can see the snow falling on the ground here, right?
Even though the temperature right at the surface, just above freezing, Because most of the column or the entire column is below freezing, you're getting that snow and it's staying as snow. It's not warm enough through a deep enough layer to see that snow melt.
To melt it. But what's going to happen is we're going to get this warm flow off the Pacific at higher levels in the atmosphere. So let's raise this temperature up here. And as we raise the temperature through this layer here, you will see that now we've changed this into an all-rain event, right?
Yeah, I can
All
see
right.
the puddles at the surface.
So that's part two. But what did we just talk about? The easterly winds coming out of the gorge.
Offering up that very cold air, but just at the surface.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's drop that temperature at the surface. And now the snow is melted to rain. It comes down, it hits the surface, and it glazes up as this icy cover here. And this is what we're looking at for Portland. So just minor changes in the temperature profile in the atmosphere have everything to do with the precipitation type.
Yeah, now if we had a deeper layer of cold air, that would allow for sleet, which would be a better case scenario. But in this case, we think it's going to be shallow enough that it's that glaze.
Yeah, if it was deeper, again, as I showed you here, we dropped the temperature there. So a deep layer of cold air would refreeze those raindrops and actually change it to sleet. Sleet's got a beat. It bounces around, but it doesn't glaze up the surface. And then again, once we change the temperature profile of the atmosphere to go all below the freezing mark, of course, we end up with snow. And when we get to the higher elevations into the Cascades, we're going to have this type of profile. So right in that area, we can go from rain to sleet to freezing rain to snow in a matter of about 50 to 75 miles.
So it just goes to show you how difficult of a situation it is for forecasters when they're trying to nail down. You've got to look at all the layers of the atmosphere.
A big challenge. I give them a lot of luck. This is going to be a tough
Hats
one
off
to
to
forecast.
those. Thanks, Tom, for the explanation. Joplin.
I got my
you
dog that way.
Joplin from Joplin.
From the Joplin tornado, and so all these animals, they just need a home.
Yeah,
so
they've been through a lot.
Open up your home to them too.
Yeah, so a lot of areas around here. Check in on that animal shelter, and then maybe you could find a new family member. Let's look at the recap,
yeah.
because this was several rounds of storms. Now, the Albany one moving through on Sunday, but we had that first round come through into early parts of Saturday, then into Sunday as well.
You can almost make a case for three
rounds.
different rounds over the course of 2 days that we had across the South, with the second biggest January outbreak on record for the United States. And the number of fatalities, unfortunately, now standing at 20, which actually surpasses all of 2016. The average over the course of 25 years for a year is 75. So it's not been a good start for us here.
No, absolutely not. And when we look at the January tornadoes here in 2017, we had that as 9. So all the ingredients, unfortunately, were in place. And then we saw that translate in terms of those powerful storms.
The good news is it's been pretty quiet since, and hopefully we can keep it that way for a little while longer. All right, time now, folks. Let's switch gears and get a little bit, let's get a little bit happier. Ken, how about your video 6-pack? Our 6 best weather videos of the day. And we're going to start the shot from Dawn from Washington,